Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And there's been a lot of chaos and disruption taking place throughout our entire country. And I wanted to do a story on this whole ICE immigration deportation issue that's taking place and the protest that appears to have been initiated in the state of California. And the controversy with Governor Gavin Newsom and President Trump, and how they're on the opposite sides of the table on this issue with this migrant invasion and influx. And let's see where the Democrats and the Republicans stand on this. But we do have to remember that this entire migrant crisis took place during the Biden and Kamala Harris administration, the Democratic administration. And supposedly the Vice President Kamala Harris was the border czar who had never been to the border. So you had an influx of 15 to 20 million illegal immigrants. Our borders were wide open. There was no vetting of anybody. We don't know what kind of people are coming in from a medical standpoint, from a legal standpoint, even from an educational or language standpoint. How are all of these migrants going to survive? So when you have this large influx and our government did not have any kind of preparation to handle this large migration influx. And so now President Trump has decided to have a plan for mass deportation. So you had mass importation, and now we're trying to have a mass deportation. And I think those are on equal and level playing fields. No matter who is the president in today's time, if that person wants to get this migrant situation under control, there has to be some kind of a mass exodus out of the U.S., just like there was a mass influx. So, and there's been many issues going on in our border states, Texas, Arizona, California, and then, of course, the sanctuary cities in New York, Chicago, etc. For example, there's been a lot of issues going on. How do you handle this? How do we get this taken care of? And maybe Trump is not handling it the right way, but we also have to say on the Democratic side that they did not handle it the right way with this mass influx under the Biden and Harris administration. And she was supposed to be the border czar, and allegedly she never even went down to the border in her own country. So let's get into why Gavin Newsom, the Democrats, are pitching a fit with President Donald Trump. So California Democrats push back on Trump's decision to mobilize the National Guard. California Democrats push back after President Donald Trump deployed the National Guard to respond to anti-immigration raid protests in the Los Angeles area, with Governor Gavin Newsom arguing that Trump is trying to manufacture a crisis. Well, I think the crisis was manufactured during the Biden and Harris administration with this mass import of 15 to 20 million illegal immigrants. That's where it was manufactured. How to get rid of them takes some manufacturing and some political wrangling to get this under control. So it goes on to say that Trump sent 2,000 National Guard troops into LA County, not to meet an unmet need, but to manufacture a crisis. He's hoping for chaos so he can justify more crackdowns. This is what Governor Gavin Newsom is saying, that President Trump is hoping for chaos so he can justify more crackdowns, more fear, more control. Governor Newsom said this on X on Sunday, where he also urged people to stay peaceful. Trump deployed the National Guard despite Governor Newsom's opposition. Guard soldiers can be deployed by governors or the federal government by law, though it is unusual for a president to call the National Guard into federal service in a state where the governor objects, according to experts. So now you got this political power structure. Who is the ultimate governance over a state, let alone our country? And of course, we know the higher power would be the president. The president is actually the governor of the United States. He has the ultimate governance. The governor of a state has the ultimate governance over that state. So we have a state issue and a federal issue. Trump further escalated his efforts to tamp down the protests on Sunday, directing the heads of several federal agencies to take all such necessary precautions to liberate Los Angeles and end the protests, which he characterized as migrant riots. This is what President Trump said. Violent insurrectionist mobs are swarming and attacking our federal agents to try and stop our deportation operations, Trump wrote. Order will be restored, the illegals will be expelled, and Los Angeles will be set free. While it is unclear what action Trump's administration will take in response to his call to liberate Los Angeles, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said active duty Marines would be mobilized if violence continues. Several California Democrats criticized the administration's response to the protests as inflammatory, reckless, and escalatory. The administration has painted the White House's response to what it calls left-wing radicals as an effort to maintain law and order. At the same time, Democrats feared the administration's response could ratchet up tensions, ultimately inflaming the situation rather than subduing it. Democratic Representative Ted Lieu, who represents a Los Angeles area district, said on X that he agreed with Newsom's assessment that Trump's takeover of the California National Guard is purposefully inflammatory. Representative Nanette Berrigan, a Democrat who also represents Los Angeles area district, also condemned the deployment. We haven't asked for the help. We don't need the help. This is him escalating it, causing tensions to rise, Berrigan said of Trump in an interview on CNN's State of the Union. It's only going to make things worse in a situation where people are already angry over immigration enforcement. But where were the people getting angry about the 15 to 20 million immigrants or migrants that entered the United States without any vetting? Where was the anger about that? Are we just going to allow any and everybody to come in? If that's the case, why would we have a border in the first place? I thought there were certain checks and balances in order for you to become a legalized citizen in the United States. Former Vice President Kamala Harris, a former senator from California and state attorney general, said the deployment is meant to provoke chaos and accused the Trump administration of aiming to spread panic and division through its large-scale immigration raids. This administration's actions are not about public safety. They're about stoking fear, a Los Angeles resident wrote in a statement. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think public safety is at its breaking point. When you bring in this many individuals, all of them are poverty stricken. Very few of them speak English. Uh, None of them have a green card. Uh, what are these individuals going to do? They're going to live in tents. They're going to live on the streets. There will be an uptick in gang participation, gang violence. There will be an uptick in the opioid crisis. There will be an uptick in human trafficking as a result of this. And all of these things are taking place in California as we speak. There will be an uptick in theft, in looting. So public safety is at risk, and this is probably the nucleus of this entire conversation. Protesters and law enforcement clashed on Saturday, with some protesters throwing objects and law enforcement deploying pepper balls and flash bangs. Videos also showed looting and a car on fire. Protests initially began in response to immigration enforcement operations, as the Trump administration has made mass deportations a centerpiece of its domestic policy. Here again, people are upset about Trump and mass deportations, but nobody is saying anything about the Biden and Harris administration for mass inclination and acceptance of millions of illegal immigrants that entered the country within a 4-year period. And people never want to talk about or remember, do you know which president deported more individuals in his administration in the last 50 years? It was President Barack Obama. He deported over 3 million immigrants out of the country. 3 million. And mind you, he has an immigrant background. His father was a Harvard PhD candidate from Kenya, and then his stepfather was from Indonesia. So if anybody would have a soft heart for immigration issues and policies, you would have thought it would have been Barack Obama. And also he went to high school in Hawaii, but he deported 3 million people. No one said a word. The political fallout was along party lines, with Republican lawmakers criticizing the protest and Democrats pushing against the White House's response. In an overnight post to Truth Social, Trump praised the National Guard's action in Los Angeles, though the National Guard had not yet arrived in the city, Newsom pointed out. So Trump had a misnomer where he was praising the National Guard and they hadn't even gotten there yet. National Guard troops began arriving in Los Angeles a few days after Trump made that announcement. And then a group of California Democrats said they went to an immigration and customs enforcement processing facility to conduct congressional oversight, but were denied entry. One of them was Representative Gil Cisneros, characterized ICE as having been on a rampage going through Los Angeles, just rounding people up. What is really going on? White House representatives did not immediately respond to questions about Democrats' criticism. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in a post Saturday night that Democrats refuse to condemn this despicable behavior, but this will not be tolerated by the Trump administration. Then Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller appeared to be referring to the protests when he said on X, "We've been saying for years this is a fight to save civilization. Anyone with eyes can see that now." I don't necessarily agree with Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller's statement that this is a fight to save civilization. I don't think civilization in America is going to be destroyed in any way, shape, or form as a result of this migrant crisis. I think that's an overstatement. House Speaker Mike Johnson, a representative from Louisiana, responded to the question about HECSEFs floating the deployment of active duty Marines in response to the protests. Johnson emphasized the importance of maintaining peace through strength, adding on ABC News this week. I don't think that's heavy handed. I think that's an important signal. When ABC News co anchor Jonathan Karl interjected to push Johnson further, Johnson said, "We have to be prepared to do whatever is necessary." So, how do you all feel about this situation? I think the basic sense of humanity in most individuals and Americans, I think it's kind of multifolded. One is most of the people that live here in America in middle class or lower middle class, this is probably not even on their plate. They're just trying to survive, pay bills, groceries are going up, electric bills are going up. There's this issue with inflation. People are just trying to make it paycheck to paycheck. The day of working for a company for 30 years and receiving a pension is over. If you are a 25 or 30-year-old and by the time you get to be 65, you probably will have had 12 different jobs, worked for 12 to 15 different companies. There's no loyalty anywhere anymore. And the panacea of paranoia of just trying to survive in this fallacy of the American dream is being diluted each and every day. Then you take, well, with this influx of all of these illegal immigrants, will that even put a heavier burden on the middle class? Will these migrants take jobs from low income or low middle class individuals, but because companies can pay these folks off the books or lower wages? There's been a real issue with the minimum wage debate, and should it be $15 an hour, $20 an hour? How is this migrant situation going to affect manufacturing and distribution, produce, farming? We've had a serious tornado that took place in St. Louis back on May 16th that caused over $1.6 billion worth of damage. And as the repair and restoration is starting to take place, guess what? All the roofers and the brick masons, the tuck pointers, all of them have been Hispanic. 99% of them. I haven't seen many white folks, and I definitely haven't seen many black companies in North St. Louis, in the city of St. Louis, trying to repair and restore individuals' homes that got damaged. So how does that affect? There are, from a positive note, you got to admit it, there are quite a few Hispanic roofers. There are quite a few Hispanic farmers that assist and help and aid with people that own land. And definitely on the West Coast in California, Arizona, definitely on the East Coast down in Florida. You see people of color and of Hispanic descent everywhere. So there is a void to fill, or a vestibule between our migrants that are here in America and what they do with helping and producing and making America a vibrant place. But what about the ones that aren't doing anything? That's going to put a strain on our social services, our Medicaid, our welfare system, food stamps. We have to find some way to take care of these people. So there are some real issues, but I will say to you that it is a double entendre in the sense that we have to hold the Democrats accountable for the mass rush and influx of millions of illegal immigrants. And if there is some kind of way or conduit to removing some of these individuals that probably are going to put a strain on our legal and our criminal system, we should have a system or a conduit to have these individuals removed. I think this immigration and deportation issue with ICE is going to be an ongoing scenario, and these protests are real, and our public safety is at risk, and we do have to hope and pray that there will not be civil unrest. Tell me what you think about this immigration, deportation issue with ICE, with the fight between Governor Gavin Newsom in California versus the President of the United States, Donald Trump. What side do you sit on? Should these individuals be allowed to stay here no matter what? Or should there be a mass exodus of individuals that shouldn't have been here in the first place? Tell me what you think. This is the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth.